So welcome. My name's Tori Day. I'm with First Federal Bank. I'm the Information Security Officer here. I've been in banking for much longer than I care to admit. Um, and I've worked with several Fortune 500 companies as well as several different community banks. And I've landed in community banking because that's truly my love and my passion. Community banks are, I think, the heartbeat and the blood of our communities. And we actually get to make a difference in our customers' lives. So here I am at First Federal Bank and wanted to kind of share my love of cybersecurity with our customers and clients. To give you a little bit background about First Federal Bank, we were established in 1962, much before I was born, of course, in Live Oak, Florida, as First Federal Savings and Loan of Live Oak. Back in the days when mortgage loans were the big thing and S&Ls were a thing. We are a mutual holding company. We are the last mutually held bank in the state of Florida. Little trivia there. We have 650 employees and 75,000 customers, so we do have a large customer base. Our senior management team is comprised of John Medina, who's our president and CEO. We have Pam Hitt, who's our chief operating officer. Jim Moses is our chief risk officer, and David Brewer is our chief financial officer. We have a total of 25 full service offices scattered throughout Florida and South Carolina, total of 9 mortgage offices. QRL, who services our wholesale and mortgage loans, they are out of Madison and Green Bay, Wisconsin. Go Packers. And then we have our First Federal Bank mortgage lending headquarters, retail and warehouse team in Jacksonville, and then our consumer direct mortgage team in Overland Park, Kansas. So as you can see in the next map, we are scattered a little bit on this side of the country, but we have several different states that we are located in. Some of our awards and recognition, we've been recognized by Bauer Financial for 5-star superior ratings since 2000. And then we've also been named the best community bank in 2024 by Newsweek. So with that being said, and we've kind of gotten into our background, let's go ahead and dive into our Cybersecurity Awareness Month information. If you have any questions, please feel free to type them into the question space and we will get to them at the end of this conversation. So this slide deck was part of the Secure Our World Cybersecurity Awareness Campaign. Every year, the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency, or we call them CISA, likes to have a campaign that's centralized throughout the United States to ensure that everybody's kind of talking about the same things. So we'll be going over some common ways that you can stay safe online. Cybersecurity is everywhere. So as I mentioned, October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month, in addition to probably many other months. So what is cybersecurity? So basically, I always tell my team, everybody's an information security officer, whether you want to be or not, right? Because cybersecurity is all about protecting our computer systems and networks from attacks by malicious actors. We don't want our information stolen or damaged or our software or data taken. And wherever there's technology, there has to be cybersecurity. So even in today's small businesses, personal home situations, you probably more than likely have a smart TV, a smart computer, a smartphone, etc. And so many things now are connected and leave you at risk from a cybersecurity perspective. So why is cybersecurity important? Some of the best practices will help individuals and organizations of all sizes to ensure that you're protecting your personal, financial, and sensitive information. For both our government and private entities, making sure that you have tailored cybersecurity plans and processes will help protect and maintain your business operations. Um, we've seen in the past where a certain system or data center will go down and it can impact. I think we had the flights that all got canceled a couple months back. Everybody might remember that. So that was, why we talk about cybersecurity and why we talk about having backup plans. There's 4 easy ways to stay safe online, and these are kind of what we're going to focus on tonight. And the first and most obvious one that I know everybody loves to talk about is using strong passwords and password managers. Turning on multi-factor authentication. And even though security can be inconvenient, multi-factor authentication is one easy way for you to ensure that nobody else is accessing your social media, bank accounts, etc. Making sure that you're recognizing and reporting phishing attacks, whether it's on your personal device or your work device at work. speak with your IT department if you're talking about a professional organization. And then obviously, a lot of your cell phone carriers do have means and ways that you can report phishing emails to them. And then the last, and I would say one of the most important things, is to make sure you're updating your software on both your computers and personal electronic devices. Now, let's talk about passwords. Everybody, I think, struggles with the fact that you have to have strong passwords and you shouldn't be reusing them, and they have to be a certain amount of characters. The best recommendations thus far are we want at least 16 characters. You should always have a unique password for every system that you access. You should be using upper and lowercase letters, numbers, special characters, spaces, if it's allowable, and then passphrases. So, passphrases, in my opinion, are one easy way to ensure that your password is not easy for a hacker to guess. So, you could say something along the lines of, I have two cats that are black, and add an exclamation point at the end and use symbols instead of letters. So, things like that can make your password creative, hard to crack, but easy for you to remember. I want to also talk about password managers. Oops. Password managers will help store your passwords. And if you are talking about a business perspective, businesses will often have an approved password manager that you use. If you're talking on a personal device, there are several passwords that are password managers available on the market that you can look into. Just ensure that you do your research and they're reputable. They will store your passwords for you. A lot of times they'll alert you if you have a duplicate password. I know in my Gmail account, if my password is found on the dark web, Google will alert me that is out there. They may also be able to help you generate strong new passwords. So that whole, you know, 20 characters of gobbledygook with all the special characters, they can help generate that for you. A lot of times they'll also fill in your login credentials into your websites and make it easier for you to get into all the systems if you have many to access. And they don't fall for phishing websites, even if you do. Encryption in our password managers is very strong, so they never know what your passwords are. So they will keep them safe from others during cyber attacks. So it's a great option if you have a lot of systems or a lot of passwords. I think we all do nowadays, right? Next thing I wanted to talk about is multi factor authentication. And I think as we're talking internally at the bank, we always talk about how sometimes security isn't convenient. And I know as I'm speaking with my own mother and talking to her about the importance of multi factor authentication, she is not a fan. I explained to her why it's important. And the reason it is important is because for if some reason somebody logs into your Facebook or Instagram account, social media account, etc., you would get a code sent to your phone or your email that's telling you that somebody's trying to log in. That way, if it's not you, you're alerted that, hey, somebody's trying to hack into your account. That's why MFA is so important. There's also the availability of authenticator apps. Those can include Google. I'm sure Apple has its own one. Security keys. Sometimes they'll ask you to select like a 5-digit passcode to get in there, or a 4-digit passcode in some banking applications or different applications that you may have on your phone. And then biometrics, I know that's a big one. Fingerprints and facial recognition. Hopefully, nobody has a copy of your fingerprint. Everybody's is unique. Facial recognition can backfire if you have a serious change in look. Like, for example, I know my face isn't recognized if I'm outside and my sunglasses are dark. My phone doesn't recognize my face. So they can be a little inconvenient, but there's always that backup passcode that you have on your device. So turning on multi-factor authentication, you should use that definitely in your email. So if you have a Google or an Apple account, you should always have that turned on. Email is one of the most, I would say, riskiest places that you store information, possibly without really considering what's in it. Pay stubs, tax returns, confirmations for orders, etc. Making sure your accounts with your financial institutions, for example, online stores, Amazon, First Federal Bank accounts, any other banks you may have, make sure you have that MFA turned on. And then social media. I just want to point this out because I have had friends and acquaintances who have had their accounts taken over and basically lost all of the information that they had on there, whether it was family photos or albums from trips that were taken, pictures from long ago, stories from long ago, because they did not have MFA turned on. And unfortunately, they had weak passwords and their accounts were basically hijacked and taken over. So just be as cautious as possible. It's better to be safe than sorry in today's times. Phishing. Um, I think most of us have heard about phishing, but basically, what phishing is somebody's going to be sending out emails and they're going to probably send out hundreds, if not thousands, of emails to a variety of email addresses that they might find on the dark web or steal from a customer list at a business or lift off your laptop or cell phone. And a lot of times, these emails, quick way to recognize them as phishing is the tone is going to be urgent or scared. Click this link immediately, or your account will be closed. I can tell you for a fact that your bank will never send you an email that says, click this link, or we're going to close your account. We do not operate like that. The IRS does not operate like that. Microsoft doesn't operate like that. There is no one in the United States that operates like that except for the scammers. Your sender email addresses don't match. So if you're looking at an email address or an email that you've received from somebody, a common thing is they will change a letter to a number so it looks very similar. For example, I think we have Amazon.com and then we have AMAZ0N.com. So it looks very similar. And if you're not paying attention, you might mistake it for a valid email address. Unexpected communications. Suddenly you won the lottery, or suddenly your niece or nephew is in danger and they need you to send money or wire money, or your boss needs you to buy a gift card for him and scratch off the numbers and text it to him. These are all potential phishing, smishing problems. Request to send personal information. Legitimate organizations like banks, credit unions, credit card companies, etc., are not going to be asking you for personal information through emails or unexpected calls. Obviously, if the Social Security Administration is calling you, they don't need your Social Security number. They already have it. So just be wary if you receive any calls pretending to be from the IRS, the Social Security Administration, or any other government or large entity. Microsoft seems to be one of the largest ones that is often used to scam people out of money. Microsoft tech support. And then again, the last thing that you want to pay attention to in your emails that you're receiving that may be misspelled words, bad grammar, weird URLs, etc. Those can be signs of phishing. However, I would remind you that to be wary of that, because with the expansion of AI, um, we have seen a huge amount of uptick in better phishing emails coming in, and they're less recognizable. So just be wary. Recognizing and reporting fish. Okay, if you do spot a fish, don't click on anything. It's very important that you don't click on any links that you don't trust, and make sure you delete and the email or the text message. And again, we are seeing several times where I know, for example, I'm going to pick up my mom. She often gets text messages saying, hey, you have a package that's not deliverable from UPS. Please click on this link so you can update your mailing instructions. That's a scam. I always tell her, do not click it, delete it, ignore it. Click on attachments that you're respecting or expecting or recognize. We have seen an uptick in documents such as Adobe documents, Word documents, Excel. Those types of documents will often have malicious code or ransomware embedded in them, and they can take over your device. And then making sure you're not sending personal information online or sharing it over the phone. Again, as I mentioned before, the IRS is never going to call you and demand money or ask for social security numbers. Your credit card company is never going to call you and ask for or demands personal information. You want to make sure that you do verify the communication is real and contact the sender directly through known phone numbers and emails. I say Google, it's a great resource. Find lots of information. They will often have reports of spam phone numbers. If you're in a business setting, make sure you report that to your IT department. Or if it's on a personal device, a lot of times, for example, I know my cell phone provider allows me to report text messages as spam, and then Gmail also allows me to filter out and report the email sender as spam as well. And many of the email services do have providers where you report phishing messages or spam, and that way you won't see it again. And again, as I said before, if you think it's bad, just go ahead and delete it. Don't click on it. Don't forward it. Don't do anything with it. Just delete it to get it off your system. And finally, one of the other things we wanted to talk about was updating your software. For those of us who've been around for a while, myself included, I remember back in the day where it would take hours sometimes to complete an update on a personal computer or a cell phone. The internet went down, or maybe your modem wasn't as fast. It could take quite some time. But nowadays, I think with the speed of everything and a lot of the network speeds being at what they are, updates on your devices should be relatively quick. And a lot of times on your cell phones or personal computers, you can specify a window for when you want updates to be automatically installed. So hopefully that's when you're not using the device. Unfortunately, in professional settings, sometimes you can't do the remind me later and you have to do the update. So just go ahead and bite the bullet and take the update. Automatic updates ideally are the easiest way to ensure that you stay secure, and that includes both on your cell phone and your personal computer devices as well as your work device. Keep in mind, if you're in a professional setting, your organization should or may control what updates are available to your PC. Where to find available updates. I know I talk about this quite a bit with my mom again, where we go to look for phone or computer updates. So I'm always showing her how to find settings if her phone is the most up to date version of it, looking in your browser or app, and then also the App Store or Play Store or Apple Store. You can verify and see and make sure that the apps that you have installed on your device are the most current version, or if they need to be updated, you can often select those and update as you have time. Again, it's always good practice. I try to check it every night before the end of the day just to make sure everything's updated, because you never know when a 0-day vulnerability is going to cause a problem for you. Some additional resources that we've included in this slide deck, and after this seminar we will be sharing this deck with you, but there are some links here, and yes, these are good links. They're friendly links. It's to our Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency, or we like to call them CISA. You can report cyber issues. So if you have been a victim of something, you can report it here. They talk about how to make sure you're secure by design. So a lot of that development and security. They talk about some cybersecurity performance goals that they have set internally. There's some resources available for cybersecurity. There's training and exercises. So if you are responsible for a business, or perhaps just your family or children, there may be exercises and training classes that you can share with teams or people that you love. And then CISA has a YouTube channel, which, so if you need some, you know, late night viewing, it's a great option. The NCO, or National Cybersecurity Alliance, that's another organization that's out there for your viewing pleasure. They have resources and guides, and they have videos, and also have on-demand webinars. They do work directly with a lot of colleges and institutions, so there may be events that are available near you. You just need to check out those links that we're going to be sharing with you. As far as contacting them, CISA has, like I mentioned before, their Cybersecurity Awareness Month. This happens every October without fail. And they also have a contact email if you want specific information, or if your business would like to participate or your school would like to participate. NCA also has staysafeonline.org. That's their home webpage. And if you need more information, they have an info@staysafeonline.org email address that you can utilize to ask any questions or get help. With that being said, I wanted to thank everybody for your time this evening. I know I've covered a lot of information, and probably quickly, but if anybody has any questions, we are willing to take them.
We did get one question so far. The question is, how often should you change your password?
That's a great question. And it's funny that you asked that, because there have been several school of thoughts and several waverings where NIST and some of the different cybersecurity organizations have wavered from you should change it every 30 days, every 60 days, every 90 days. And then they went to a recommendation that you should change it less frequently because you're less likely to forget it and more likely to choose a more difficult password. So it really depends, but I would say my best advice would be, and like I said, Google's a great friend, so check this out. But if you think that your password may have been compromised or you have identity theft protection or monitoring, like through Google or Apple, and you notice that your password is included in a compromise, definitely change it at that point. If you suspect that somebody may have watched you over your shoulder and put a password, it's a good idea to change it at that point. If you think that you or realize after today's session that you're using the same password for several systems, I would go ahead and start changing those passwords today and make sure you have MFA set up as well. Good rule of thumb is 60 to 90 days. Some systems will allow you, however, to keep it longer.
There was one other question of, do you have any recommendations of apps where you could store passwords?
At this point, I do not have any specific recommendations. I can, do some research, but I am a Android user, so I typically lean towards the Android side of the house, and I utilize a Google Pixel device because it's one of the first ones to get all the security updates. And I know there's another school of thought who loves Apple, and I know they probably have their own password settings and storage. I did try Apple for a while. Old dogs, new tricks, couldn't do it. Um, so we can look into that and see if there's any recommendations we can share, but just by checking and making sure you're looking for a reputable password manager through your Play Store or your Apple Store, you should be able to find something. And in order to get into the Google Play Store or the App Store with Apple, they do have to go through a rigorous rating and review process. So typically you don't see a lot of bad things get in there, but it's cybersecurity. So unfortunately, there are bad actors everywhere we turn.
We received a comment of appreciation. If anybody else has any questions, if they could just type that in the Q&A, that would be great.
And I did want to thank everybody again for attending. I know it was Tuesday night at 5:30, and a lot of us are ready to close out our day and go home and spend time with our family and friends. And thank you for spending your evening with us. And we will be sharing this deck with you. My information is on the back of this deck. If you do have any questions, I am available. Feel free to reach out to me directly. If I'm unavailable, please leave a message and I will return your call.